Look around. This isn't a set from a TV show. This is the real thing. It's the district's powerful new tool in cracking crimes, an incredible state-of-the-art forensics laboratory complex right out of CSI. Today on Inside One City, we're stepping into the world of forensic scientists, medical examiners, and crime scene detectives as we explore the city's ultimate crime-fighting weapon, DC's new Consolidated Forensic Laboratory. Hi, I'm Mayor Vincent Gray, and welcome to the show. Just like the CSI TV series, investigators here will use DNA, blood samples, fingerprints, and other bits and pieces of the crime scene puzzle to help solve crimes. But this new high-tech crime lab allows them to do it faster and more efficiently than ever before.
I would hesitate to call it DC CSI, but the Consolidated Forensic Lab is about as close as I've seen in real life to what you get on TV. This building is state-of-the-art. It is the pinnacle of forensic facilities that I have seen to date. It combines forensic science, it combines public health, it combines crime scene, it combines the medical examiner's office. All of those aligned sciences that serve the public safety and public health are all together in one building. It's undoubtedly going to add functionality to what we do. It's going to help solve crimes faster. It's going to give us a chance to provide services the district's never had before. In the public health laboratory, we have a biological safety level 3 laboratory, which is the second highest level that you can have. And that's for analysis of materials that may be of a biological terrorist nature. The building can contain them. The building is designed for this. It's safe. It's perfectly safe within that facility. But we have a lab that's designed specifically to handle that. Our water tank for collecting reference standard bullets is the best I've seen. This massive water tank, and the guns get shot into that to stop the bullet in the water, and then they get collected so you have a nice pristine bullet to compare. That's fantastic. The shooting range would be the envy of any forensic lab and many police labs in the country. Vehicles play a large role in a lot of crimes, in homicides and kidnappings and robberies, hit and run cases. So cars are not only central to regular life, they're central to criminal life. The building has the capacity to take vehicles in on a flatbed truck, and there's an elevator that will take the truck and the vehicle all at once down to the second basement, where we have vehicle processing facilities down there. And then carefully go over it inch by inch, looking for fingerprints, looking for trace amounts of material, taking it apart if we have to see if there's anything concealed in it. So that aspect, that's one of the more interesting areas. We want this facility to be a resource for the National Capital Region initially, and for the country, to have training classes, to have experts come in and teach not only our employees, but other people in the area, so that we become a resource, a nexus for learning about forensics and about the science that we do here. One of the capabilities that the laboratory, the Consolidated Forensic Laboratory, brings to the district is this ability to address those dangers we face in a post 9/11 world. So chemical attacks, biological attacks, other types of terrorist attacks. We now have that capability in the district. What's always excited me about this field, forensic science, is the idea of taking something small and seemingly either innocuous or unknown, and understanding, decoding, translating it into a larger truth. So a tiny little piece of bone or fiber or a droplet of some material, and then understanding what it fits into in the larger world and how it relates to a criminal activity that can help, find a guilty person, exonerate an innocent person, answer investigative questions. This building is probably the biggest thing to happen to criminal justice in the district in a generation. This building is a showstopper.
How much of a relationship, how much reality is there in CSI on television and what really goes on in a lab like this, in this consolidated laboratory?
It's a great question, and I get that all the time from school tours that we do to jury members that we testify for. The CSI effect that it's had on the forensic science community is profound, and we have to address that as forensic scientists. Is it real? Is the show real? I could ask you in reverse, is Spin City, reflective of what it's like to be a mayor? There's aspects of it that are actually true, and they do a great job of showing off the technology and talking in a very broad sense about the science. But again, there's no district and no department that exists today that wears Armani and drives Hummers and handles the amount of evidence that those people in those shows handle. Has it done a huge service to exposing our field into the general limelight? Yes, and that's good and bad, because it allows us to have some recognition that when we go into a courtroom or we talk to individuals, it's, oh, you do that. That's really cool, I watch those shows. But at the same time, juries get influenced by it. And the people that we're working to provide answers to get influenced by it. And we can't turn around a DNA process in 30 minutes. And we can't solve a crime in under an hour. And so there are aspects to those shows that we're working to better explain, and that comes through our education and outreach to the public.
Is the science fundamentally the same, though, in terms of what you see on CSI?
It is. The technology is, and a lot of the science is in place. It's just that the time frames obviously are condensed.
How would you compare this facility with other efforts in other states?
I've seen a lot of crime labs. I've been from different aspects of audits and tours and inspections. This laboratory stands out in my mind as a fundamental shift in some of the ideas and the thinking of approach to crime labs. From the idea of the units condensed within the floors the way that they are, to not only that, but the incorporation of the public health laboratory, the OCME, as well as the crime scene units, all in one building. That's really, I think, what's going to set this agency apart from all other labs.
Is that unusual? Is that rare?
It is. It is. Now, there are some other examples of that you typically see on more of the statewide levels. And for state laboratories or for the state police labs to have a setup like this is not uncommon, but for them to incorporate a public health sector as well as an OCME as well as a crime scene unit, they exist, but they're few and far between. And hopefully those labs, like ourselves, begin to change the thinking in what a crime lab can do and provide to a city, municipality, or a state.
You've addressed it a couple of times already, and that is the bringing together of 3 separate and distinct functions under one roof.
Yes.
What do you think will be the principal challenges in getting those 3 units to work effectively together?
It's a good question. I think the major challenge is that these units hadn't worked in this type of proximity before. And so it's that new factor of bringing everybody together and getting them into the mindset that this is now a closed team system. And the teamwork is vital, and it's very important. And to me as a manager, I need a cohesion of these units to work together simultaneously in a way that they hadn't had a chance to in the past.
How do you make sure that happens?
No, it's tough. Just today I held a staff meeting in which I introduced all of the different units within the Forensic Science Laboratory to each other, and the staff members actually had the first time to meet. And so the DNA folks were meeting the firearm folks, and the latents folks were meeting the trace folks. And it was the first time that those people had actually physically come together in the same room. And that's huge. And this building allows us that camaraderie. This building allows us that teamwork effort. And what's important is down the road when it comes time for a case. And there's an aspect that has to go to a firearms lab and an aspect of the case evidence that has to go to DNA. I want those lines of communication and that ability to communicate between these teams open and available so that they can talk about the probative nature of the evidence that they're testing and the results that they're getting and come together as a cohesive unit to deliver the best result that we can to the people of DC.
Dr. Kowalski, we thank you for joining us. We wish you the absolute best, and we are looking forward to being considered the best of this in the world.
We'll do that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. The Consolidated Forensics Laboratory will change how our police department collects and investigates evidence. But that's just one piece of the total crime-fighting puzzle. Indeed, there's a whole lot more to the big picture as DC's Metropolitan Police Department goes completely high-tech. Tell us what the conditions were like in terms of investigation and crime fighting before we had this lab.
So the big challenge before the lab was built here, our own lab, is we would have to package up and submit evidence off to our federal partners, the FBI, who really did a fantastic job, but they were juggling evidence and analysis coming in from all across the United States. And so we really didn't have any ability to prioritize our cases and put our cases up on top. They did a great job, but the turnaround time and then the time it took to get cases back was much longer. There's obvious reasons why that turnaround time is important for us in terms of crime prevention.
How do you think this compares with other places around the country, the 50 states and of course the District of Columbia? Where do we rank now in terms of this kind of technology being used?
Well, I tell you, as we continue to roll out new programs, I think we're going to be on the top of the list. One is we have a benefit that a lot of agencies don't have. We have our own lab, we have our own processes in place so that we can control local cases that matter to our local residents. But the technology has improved so greatly. So now having the ability to extract and analyze digital evidence, that's a huge benefit. Everybody carries a cell phone or a tablet or a laptop or has a computer. And so now having that ability to extract and analyze digital evidence puts us kind of on the cutting edge of the forensic element of moving forward to process cases.
Has it required any additional training for IMPD officers? Oh,
everybody involved. I mean, this is really an evolution to the next step in forensic sciences. There's been a lot of developments over the past decade. The sciences themselves have changed over the past 2-3 decades, even with DNA. So having those evidence technicians manage things with the new sciences and continue to learn new technologies, because a lot of the hands-on equipment our technicians use now is new. Everything from firearms examination to extracting DNA and fingerprints even has come along. So a lot of new training, a lot of new expertise, but I think the good thing is you got the scientists and the practitioners together, and that's where you're going to have the better output.
The best crime of all is the one that never occurs, of course.
True.
Do you think that people's knowledge of this technology, these advancements, will have any preventive, deterrent effect on crime in the city?
You know, I mean, you hope so. I mean, there are, I think to a certain extent, yes. I mean, there are people that are going to realize that now with the technology that's available, the forensics that are available, it's literally impossible for a person to enter a room, touch things, and not leave some trace of their presence behind. Unfortunately, even though that will be a deterrent to some, there are some that it won't be a deterrent to. But the good thing is, for those people, at least we have the ability now to take them off the street so they don't continue to do those crimes.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job as our Chief. I heard you're being interviewed somewhere else earlier, and some very laudatory comments, well deserved.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and I know you'll continue to work with others to hopefully one day bring violent crime, especially down to a zero.
Down to zero. Thank you for all your support.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, sir.
All right.
The purpose of the firearms reference collection is we house firearms like a library for demonstrative purposes, for functional, so we can replace parts if we need to for certain case firearms, as well as for representative samples in court cases. Currently, there's approximately 1,600 firearms in here, 1,600. We have firearms in here from the 1600s well up into present day. There's a lot of interesting firearms in this collection. A good example would be a percussion revolver, something commonly found during the Civil War, with firearms from several different wars, Vietnam, World War I, World War II, present day Iraq. One thing that this collection allows us to do is able to take a firearm that's recovered, that's broken, and replace some parts and to see how it functions, as well as a firearm that we haven't ever seen before based on the bullet or the casing, and possibly it's one similar in this collection. We can go back, take some samples and say, hey, this is consistent with this type. You know, not necessarily the actual firearm, but the type. As you see, we have grenades, hand grenades, as well as grenade launchers, all the way to small concealed, what you would call concealed firearms, as this one. Some of these weapons can be used in court for demonstrative purposes. A good example would be a person that says, the individual pointed a long black firearm at me, and it was this long, and it was shiny, and it looked like this, and they fired a shot. And let's say we recover a bullet, and we run the bullet through this computer system and get a list of guns, potentially what gun the individual could have. And from that point, we can narrow down to an example. So it would be good for representative example of what the gun looked like.
This is a hugely important project. From your perspective, why is this so important to the city?
Well, this project, we established a goal for this project initially, which is to consolidate three functions of public safety agencies into this project. It's the MPD Crime Lab, it's the Public Health Lab, and also it's the City Morgue, the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner.
Right.
So bring them all under one roof, and hopefully, we want to achieve efficiency in terms of in the operation for them to deliver their mission.
How much did it cost?
This is a $220 million initiative. This includes the brick and mortar plus all the soft cost of the project. So again, part of this project is we bought a lot of new lab equipment, to kind of upgrade the level of the technology that our scientists use. So all of that is in the $220 million cost.
One of the questions that you probably have gotten already, and certainly we want to answer for people, and that is the level of certified business enterprise participation in this project. What's the requirement, and how did we do?
Well, I think we have a good story to talk about here, Mr. Mayor. This project, the requirement initially for the construction piece was $130 million out of the overall project cost. And they were required to satisfy 35%. We actually have achieved 37.5%. This translates to $48.9 million out of the $130 million that went to local certified business enterprises.
Which means, of course, District of Columbia firms, right?
Definitely, yes.
How was the architect selected for this? This building has some very special needs associated with it, so you had to have just the right architect, right?
Yeah, for complex projects and with architect selections, you do what we call RFQ, request for qualifications. So we send out a request for qualifications for selected AE firms, and then we evaluated their qualifications in designing and delivering a similar type of buildings. So this is how we came to select HOK. HOK was the firm that we selected.
Yeah. This building is LEED Gold certified, which people increasingly are becoming familiar with that terminology. But in concrete terms, do you have an idea how much having that kind of certification will save us in energy costs?
Yes. Let me talk about it in quantities first, then we can translate it into dollars. In this facility, we collect 100% of rainwater, so we don't have any runoff coming off the roof of the building. We do have a green roof, so that by itself translates to a saving of about 2 million gallons of potable water per year.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
And what do you do with it?
Well, for our usage here, we do have a cistern, so it's like an underground, holding for water, and we use it for the HVAC air makeup system. That's what it is. So again, in terms of dollars, that translates to hundreds of thousands of dollars just on that water issue alone. And we do have other aspects in this facility, such as high-efficient boilers, high-efficient chillers, chill beam technology to deliver cooling and heating, and those can save, up to 35% of energy usage for this facility.
Will DGS look at how this building functions so we can learn from it for other buildings we may be retrofitting or in fact newly constructing?
Yes, in this building and in many of our new buildings, and I believe, Mr. Mayor, we were together about a year and a half ago at 1 Judiciary Square when we launched the new the Aerofund project for the digital control.
Yeah.
So again, this building uses a state-of-the-art, we call them BMS, Building Management System. So it's a digital control system. So it allows you to monitor, the functions of the building. It also allows you to tune down the building when folks kind of go home. So again, you could see where that can result in saving efficiency and saving. So the systems are programmed. They are smart technology. They're not only light sensors, but it's actually occupancy sensor. So they kind of you can program them. So if this lab works from 7 to 5, you could program it as such. Then it kind of tune itself down after. Then picks up an hour and a half before the folks come in. Or in some cases, some other labs, or more in the office area, again, it's just tuned down when there is no movement in the office. So again, we're looking at this building and recent buildings we've done there, to help us and in future and other initiatives. And also, in this building, we kind of was the start of what we call the new office space standards. That was actually based on the design of this building, utilizing HOK, going back to HOK.
Alam, thank you so much for what you do. You must be very proud of this building, and you have every right to be.
Thank you, sir.
And let's make it a prototype for the future.
Sure. Thank you.
Now, this building is considered to be LEED certified gold. What the heck does it mean to be LEED certified gold?
So LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's
an acronym.
Thank you. It's an acronym for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
We'll stick with LEED.
We'll stick with LEED. Thanks very much. It's organized by the U.S. Green Building Council, also known as the USGBC, and there's certain different levels of certification you can achieve. So there's certified, there's silver, gold, and platinum. So lab buildings in general, again, the first E is energy, stands for energy efficiency. Lab buildings in general are very energy inefficient, so to achieve that level of LEED certification on a building like this is very impressive.
What was professionally significant about this building to have HOK want to be involved in it, especially from a sustainability or an environmental perspective?
Well, sure, there are a lot of sustainability objectives and things of that nature, but the biggest reason why HOK wants to get involved in a project like this is the way that this building serves the community. And in terms of what that means for the way that the district can process evidence and serve its people in a more efficient fashion.
What about the environmental aspects of, a green roof? We hear a lot about, having a green roof now, and a lot of people really don't know what that means. This building has a green roof. What does that mean, Tim?
Sure, so it means a lot of different things. The first thing it means is that the green roof makes the building a little bit more energy efficient. It's like putting a little hat on the roof, if you will. The second thing it does, though, is it helps with the stormwater runoff. So this facility, in general, what we would say is it has zero stormwater runoff. All the stormwater is collected on site, and most of that water is reused for cooling tower makeup.
What difference does it make, though? Why not just let it run off?
Well, the reason why is because the stormwater system in the district is a combined system. So what happens is if we overtax that system, it combines with the sanitary sewer, and that goes out into the Anacostia, and that's what we want to avoid.
We're standing next to an entirely glass front that on a sunny day is going to get a lot of sunlight. Anything special about this glass?
Absolutely. So there's a number of different things, and as people come by and can see the building, there's a number of different things we did on the building to control solar heat gain, which is kind of what you're talking about. You get these glass walls, you stand next to them in the summertime, you get a lot of heat gain through them. So specifically in this building, we did a number of different things. In the atrium, which is where we're standing now, the glass that's here has a 50% frit on it. So that's an opaque frit. It's an opaque frit coating that's on the glass, so that it automatically rejects 50% of the solar heat gain into the space.
I see.
It's also an insulated glass unit, so that means it's 2 panes of glass with
Does
air
that
space.
reduce some of the cooling requirements in the summer? and
That's
heating
exactly
and-
what it does.
Yeah, okay.
So it reduces the heat load and therefore reduces the amount of cooling we need. Then in addition to that, where the offices are, we have these glass louvers, and these are solar control louvers. And what they do is they move throughout the day and throughout the year to maximize their angle against the sun, so that as the sun comes and hits those louvers, it also is absorbing the solar heat radiation at the louvers before that sunlight comes into the building. So we're maximizing the amount of natural daylight into the building and minimizing the amount of solar radiation
So in
coming into the
practical
building.
terms, we should get lower bills.
We should get lower bills.
Yeah.
You have a much more energy efficient building that way. And then even the masonry that's on either side, east and west facades are the hardest to control the solar exposures. So we did a punch window expression there, and the masonry acts as a thermal mass, so you don't get a lot of heat
In
transfer.
2013, the district, I've committed the district to be completely green in terms of the energy purchases. I think we'll be the first city to do that. In a building like that, what does that mean?
Well, what it means in a building like this is that this building goes a long way already in trying to be very energy efficient and reduce the amount of energy it consumes. So it goes that one step farther. As the district being the purchaser of all that power, you're
Renewable
saying,
energy.
Right. You're saying we want our energy to be purchased from renewable sources, which is a very admirable thing. I don't think there's any other jurisdiction that's doing that.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today,
you.
and thank you for the work on this magnificent building. I congratulate HOK and congratulate you in particular on the work that you've done.
All right. Thanks very much.
Hopefully today's show has given you a better idea of how the city's new Consolidated Forensics Laboratory will coordinate crime, public safety, and health investigations in a way that helps law enforcement solve crimes quickly and more efficiently. For more information on the CFL, visit the website at dc.gov. Thanks for watching Inside One City. I'm Mayor Vincent Gray, and we'll see you again next time on DCN.